2, 1, and
Fuck!
Damn it, bro.
hey, thanks everybody, thanks everyone. We've got a great show for you tonight here on the Geek Up Podcast, episode 8. We got some great guests. We got Burly Man, we got the Dezaran. We might have some special little secret surprises coming in later on for you. And today we are talking about the spookiest of the spooky. And if you check the description, today we're having a spooky chat for spooky cats. What is this? A fucking what's his face trailer? Got that guy.
Deadpool?
Nolan. No.
Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan. What is this? A Nolan trailer?
Maybe.
Wow.
Horror games.
Horror games. But of course, just as we always do, I would love to know what you guys have been up to during the week. And if I could ask Burly Man even to start us off. He seems excited.
Certainly. Well, where do I begin? I've been doing the LPS Game to Fame videos once again. That's literally just gone up today.
Awesome.
Second round has. So we're going to find out who's going to be winning that in the next couple of weeks, I believe. So
hell yeah.
I say winning now. Who's into the semis because there's still 8 of them left. So it's been interesting. What people
Anyone we know? Any favourites?
I think plain old Paul's in there.
Ooh.
Yeah, Paul's in there. Wilbowski, he's still doing it as well.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's a gun.
Let's
Watch
see.
out for him.
We got Nintendo Meow as well. Yeah, she's alright.
Cool.
You know what? I should probably look at a list before I start saying their names.
I was just realizing, like, you're the editor. Like, you can't. This really sounds like you've just got favorites.
I'm literally trying to remember, like, as I'm editing it. I just remembered their faces. You know.
You know, the girl face, man face, bald
okay,
face.
There was Indie Timmy as well.
Cool.
Men Over Beard. IF and DP, they're an interesting duo. Let's Play, she's funny as. And Beef and Taters.
Beef and
Taters.
Taters.
Beef and Taters.
I met them a while back. It was very, like, sort of like in passing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching their submissions, obviously, and I thought it's getting somewhere. It's actually going alright. I'm looking forward to the future Game to Fame competitions that apparently are going to be a thing. So,
awesome.
Other than that, I've just been doing my creative thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm going to pass the metaphysical flag over to you, Adam.
Oh, to me?
Yep.
Jesus! Guys, you've got to stop breaking the order. I never know how to deal with it. I'm always just like, I'll just be at the end, I'll just whatever. No, so basically, okay, yeah, I'll go backwards in time because that's the best way I'll be able to remember it.
Okay,
Yesterday, me and Kieran from Retroverse and also my affiliated member in Star Stroid, he and I have started making a game, and we started putting that together. And
Tell me more.
well, it's going to just be like we're sort of keeping expectations of ourselves pretty low because we've never done anything really like this before, and we're just trying to like learn and stuff. But we're both really into pixel art. Kieran's really loves music and like making and working with like sort of digital music and making that sort of kind of hybrid of like chiptune and modern. Which is really cool. It's like one of the things that I really like. And we're trying to get someone else on to sort of like help with programming, and we're working in Unity, and we've got some some sort of basic sort of like platforms and everything set up. We've got our camera follows our character and everything, and we're just making up sprite sheets for basic attack animation and like, movement, so like jumping and stuff like that. We're thinking about it. We're sort of splitting the load of programming right now, but we're like, I don't know. There's this idea that maybe. I think I'm more invested in this than he is, to be honest. Like, it's just me that I sat down yesterday and I like almost broke down like looking at code, and I was just like, this isn't what I do. I'm not good at this. So essentially.
So what's the game going to be like eventually?
So if you have interacted with Kieran or I much, you may have heard about our roleplay system and our stories and all this stuff, and it's set in this universe that we sort of refer to as the Crag.
Okay, right, yeah.
The Crag's this sci-fi universe where like it's really cyberpunky, but it's also sort of like I want to say like 1930s Europe folksy. There's this sort of like really sort of there's like this European feel in it, and I don't know, like it's this world that's sort of based around like the sci-fi Western idea, but like sort of bringing in a lot of different like cultures and progression and stuff like that, and mutation things. And through human terraforming, the world has become completely fucked because the terraforming methods they used caused this like mutagen-based like rust to start forming called crag, and that just like grows all over these cities that float around terraformed planets, and then that causes mutations in people and like all this fucked up stuff, and that's where all those sort of stories come from. And we really treat it like this universe where we write anthology stories for it and stuff like that. So everything is one character sort of in that place, and there'll be continuations of their story, but you know we try to keep all of the world living, breathing by writing in that way, kind of thing. So Kieran usually writes about outlaws, and I usually write about like the cops and stuff. So like we kind of actually complement each other's styles a lot. And so this first game is going to be Kieran's story. It's based around a pirate. I don't know how much I should really say, but it's like it's a pirate, and there's a jailbreak in there, and it's fun stuff.
The good stuff.
Yeah, it's all going to be great. I don't want to really get into it too much more than that, but this is meant to be the next iteration. This is the next iteration. It's just going to be more Crag, more sci-fi stuff, and hopefully I'll be hopefully I'll be hosting an RP in the Crag system soon, and we want to start like posting comics and stuff.
Well.
And other than that, pixel art, lots of pixel art. If you go check out any of my stuff at Avi for Watching on Twitter, you'll actually see stuff I've been posting. I'm selling stuff now as well, so I've got the shirts up. The last one I did yesterday is my favorite thing I've ever done. It's like these buildings, but they're like super like personified, and one of them's vomiting people, and they're like in a spaceship going off.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it's really cute. It turned out really good, and I was really proud of it because it's just like it's like this idea of like buildings being sentient things that leave Earth in a very sort of like Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide sort of like vibe. And then like there's one of the buildings that's just like got space sick and he's vomiting people out. And, oh man, it's. I was really proud of myself.
I love your brain. It is really bizarre. I just love what you can come up with it in there. It's just wow.
Anyway, I did the pixel art for Victor, which was cool.
We just saw Victor a moment ago off screen.
Hopefully you'll be seeing
in your head.
I could put it back up really quickly, but it's not proportioned correctly, so it just looks a bit silly.
It's very silly, yeah.
If anyone's wondering, it's this.
Oh
God! Leave Avi alone, foul beast.
Yeah, it should be up on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm not sure where I put it, to be honest, but it's on the Roll20. So if people are recording portraits on the Roll20, that's me. And then that's I'm done. I've been working heaps. Desiree, please.
Not too much different. Oh, thank you.
Asshole.
Different on my end. I've been working and such, keeping up on the videos, still going through BioShock for the lovely Lady Asabat, who is
that's
not
next on my
with us currently.
Yeah. That's next on my things to watch list. Anyway,
yes.
Sorry.
Actually, so far what I'm looking forward to should be in about a week, and that is the release of Until Dawn for PS4.
What's that?
That would be a survival horror game that's played more like in the style of Heavy Rain.
Oh, okay. Is it made? Is it? Yeah, that's actually really cool. Is it made by Cage?
I don't believe so.
Okay, all right. I thought shit was about to get insane.
It just looks very interesting. They go with the whole perception that supposedly there is going to be multiple endings. Each decision that you make in game decides who survives the night, etc., etc. So I plan to get it to one playthrough, so people who are watching will get one ending. And if you want to see others, you can play it yourself.
How many endings are there?
I'm not sure, actually.
guess?
Plenty?
Probably at least 4 to 8.
Oh, that's pretty damn good, though.
That's pretty, that's
Yeah.
fine by me. You're lucky to get 3 out of most games.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like, this is just a random guess on my part. I might be completely wrong. I assume there's going to be endings along the lines of everyone's dead, everyone survives, and then numbers in between.
Oh my god, everyone's dead. Sound effects guy. Oh my god.
That's me.
It's
that's
just one I'm looking forward to.
That's amazing. I'm into
it. No, it does sound good.
I really like watching David Cage's style. You know, like that Shenmue style, I guess you could call it.
I've enjoyed his games a fair bit. Yeah.
Actually, no. What's that old arcade machine with the Disney animations and it's like
Dragon's Lair?
Quest? Yeah, Dragon's Lair. Let's call it that. Let's call it that style rather than Shenmue. I got some real big issues with Shenmue right now. Don't get me started.
Oh boy.
Oh wow, bless you.
It's okay. Reel it in.
Oh, super bass fishing.
No, not back to that.
This laugh track is going off. Not like in a bad way, just like it is going off. We did have a viewer.
House, man.
We did have a viewer for a minute there.
We have a viewer.
Well, no, the viewer counter is really glitchy. I remember from back in my days being here, but yeah, there's a potential that this viewer comment tracker never works. So anyway, let's get on with it.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah, basically, there's nothing we can really do about that. Anyway, yeah, guys.
Horror games,
spooky games, scary games, funny games, not funny games. Well, whoa.
Weirdly, comedy.
You're gonna have to. Would you class? Okay. Name. Would you class what on Steam right now is a dark comedy horror game to you? Then, please.
Yeah. Let us know.
On Steam. Ooh, that's a little bit.
Yeah, none of that old console stuff because I know you've probably got a million.
Yeah, but,
that's the only thing he's good at.
I mean, it all depends on whether or not you're talking about purely as that, or if it's just interspersed. Because I mean, if you take parts of say just in general the BioShock series for one, there's obviously some comedy interspersed there in the sense of references and such.
Yeah, I would argue that that's more going back to the culture and the time period that they've set themselves up in, and sort of referencing back to that's kind of it's very kinetic humor in BioShock. I feel it's very it's very a guy blows up or this transition of movement, a weird conversation, but the conversation is being held by two people that are fucked up and stuff like that. It's kind of this very, very violation of sense about what you're expecting from that time period with that music and that kind of stuff. So I think I agree with you. I think you're right. BioShock definitely has humor in it.
It's a pretty damn good game as well.
Yeah, BioShock 1's amazing. I've really got to play through it fully because I've only ever really gotten through it and then had other people tell me about it. And then I played through Infinite and I was like, what? It's not that funny. Because I don't know about anyone else, but Infinite was not the same game. So much more, so dark, dude.
Do you reckon it was good?
No. Whoa, hey, whoa. BioShock Infinite is probably my second favorite game of all time. I feel like I'm gonna come back to that in a few years. Well, out of big development and stuff, because I don't know, that's hard. I don't like making that call, but it is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just leave it at that then.
It's great. It's beautiful. I cried. The ending is amazing and full on, and it's so well orchestrated. I think maybe too much credit could be given to it because at the end of the day, it is a shooter and stuff. But the way they convey the story is really beautiful.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I haven't actually played it. I just know it's in the sky.
Yeah, I haven't played it either.
Well, that's the thing. Setting it in the sky takes away so much of that horror vibe, right? You're given this entirely different atmosphere. Whereas when you're in Rapture and you're beneath the ocean, it's dark and grim
dank and
falling apart as well. Because when you show up in Columbia, it's not. It's pristine. It's still it's still going. Whereas Rapture, when you show up, Rapture's just Oh God!
What the hell happened here?
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. And, yeah, so basically, we're talking about spooky games. We're talking about like, sort of the history, the evolution, because it's really interesting. This is my point of view, and this just to like preface this. My perspective on this has really been that horror games have evolved dramatically in the last few years, and before that were a very niche sort of like it was much more of like a cult sort of genre where like it was for the older gamer and stuff like that would play Resident Evil like when I was growing up, and like it was older kids that would be playing Resident Evils and things like that because they were like more hardcore and stuff like that.
Yeah, you gotta use your noggin for the puzzles and stuff like that. It's like,
and there's violence and there's all this like it's fun like and so I think that's but then like the transition to now where we get Five Nights at Freddy's and we get Outlasts and we get like a slew of things and too many, some might say.
They always seem to be trying out new ideas in gaming as well. Like Five Nights, for example, that was like that game was never done before until then, pretty much.
I have an interesting point to that. Five Nights at Freddy's is a spiritual successor to Pac-Man.
Okay, pray tell.
Okay.
go on.
Think about the way the animatronics work, right? Like, if you actually go into the mechanics of how each animatronic moves around, Desiree, you might know an amount of this. Like, I don't know if you've seen the same videos I've seen that explain this stuff. But
Okay, I got the idea. Essentially,
just to give it credit, I think we go back to PBS Game Show, PBS's YouTube channel Game Show with Jamin. And he's spoken about this, where he compared this and he did the whole research for me. So just so people don't think I'm a genius. But basically, I'm not gonna take credit. Basically, what happens is that the animatronics will have based movements, and they all have patterns, and they all have like different ways that they operate and exist, much like the ghosts in Pac-Man. And to a second point, the map and the system of hallways and vents and things like that actually operates in a very similar way to the maze within Pac-Man.
Okay, I'm feeling it. Come on, keep going.
Yeah, so but what they did change was that they set Pac-Man in a room where he couldn't move, and you had to play this map game as opposed like you're playing a bit more of this omnipotence role as opposed to this running away role. Because if they had made the direct spiritual successor to Pac-Man where you were running away from monsters in first-person mode, that's an Outlast strip-off, right? Like that's a whatever. Yeah. Just running away from monsters at that point. Well, not like exactly. I don't want to. I know I threw comparisons around willy-nilly and people get mad at me.
I was going to say, if you haven't seen it, there was a game, I'm not 100% certain if it actually got past the demo state or if it was just kind of a part one release and then nothing further came of it. I might be wrong. Okay. It was called Dark Deception. Now, that wasn't more literally like Pac-Man. You were first person running around picking up pieces, and yes, you were chased by giant knife-wielding toy monkeys.
It was terrifying.
That's what I'm talking about, exactly. And so, and that to you, when you saw that, did you think outstanding, or did you think, you thought Pac-Man?
One, I thought Pac-Man, but two, it was pretty. It just looked. It had a good look to it. Like I guess because they can make it a bit simplistic in the sense that they're basically following a single path and they're just tracking you. That they can up the quality of the looks a bit more that way. Or
and it had a bit of humor in it as well.
Okay. That's interesting that you had a positive reaction. Like, like my assumption was that it was this. We're talking about the ripoff thing. So, no, I know. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That's really interesting to me.
I don't know. It seemed cute. It seemed nice.
So you guys know how the four ghosts sort of operate, right? Like one runs away from you, one hunts you down, one follows this certain pattern and moves opposite to you. So, like, did the monkeys in that game seem to have that kind of a characterization, or were they just generic
villains? Seemed like they were more along the lines of they were mostly straight going for you.
But did they have identities? Like, could you be like, that's that monkey and that's that monkey?
No, they are very all similar.
Okay.
They weren't too bad. I mean, they do. Well, as soon as they spot you, mad grin coming towards you. Like, it's
Right.
awful. But if you're hiding behind a wall, then they generally might go past, but they generally they hover around you.
I mean,
So
yeah, and
interesting.
the only real thematic view in them was in the sense that they had 3 of them, and like you could tell from like some of the decorations in the maze, like on the wall and the such, they had a listing for like one was basically see no evil, hear no evil, and one was speak no evil, that kind of a deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's right,
Yeah, sure.
It's an interesting little game. I think.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Don't listen. Don't pay
It was just something interesting. It was free, so
you
know.
Playing with the toys, then, Abby.
What?
I don't think we have a link or anything. If you want to check it out, you can find it on Google.
Yeah, I'll find it later. I'm just this is really interesting to me because like as soon as I heard that like sort of comparison of Five Nights at Freddy's to Pac-Man, everything about Five Nights at Freddy's was more proper to me, right? Like I understood because I've never played it, but like I understood why that was an attractive game because you could learn the animatronics patterns, you could sort of learn your way around them. So it's like it became this much more well-crafted idea to me. Is basically what I was getting at, I guess. And
it becomes a skill game pretty much. You literally keep playing it. You fail a hell of a lot until you get it. Yeah.
Unless you are an RNG your way through 2020.
Oh God!
Am I right?
I will never ever get that. I unfortunately suffer from the curse.
Did you finish it, Desmond?
What?
Did you beat 2020 at any point?
No.
Okay, alright. Just thought I'd check.
Okay, hold on. Before people get mad at me, full disclosure, I'm going to be completely honest. I have not played a Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, that's right. I remember now.
I was overexposed to it, and it was basically along the lines where it was just, this isn't going to be scary for me. Like
you watch Mark, so yeah, that makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So
this makes me the only person who, Mr. Non-Horror, who's played it.
Hey, I'm not horror either. Actually, Clock Tower was the only horror game I've ever enjoyed, besides like Resident Evil, I guess.
Clock Tower.
Desiree, please. Can you tell us about Clock Tower? Did Desiree die?
Sorry, reality interrupted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, Clock Tower... I'll pretend to be Desiree, it's okay. Clock Tower is a game about a girl who is adopted out to a ghost house, and she has to...
Well... story is obviously a tad deeper than that, but... Yeah,
no, please. That's why I wanted you to tell us.
Well, no. Like, I can't. I'm not gonna go into full detail on the entire story, but I mean, yeah, a number of orphans are taken to. Yeah, there's a few of them.
I just love that description.
They are taken with their caretaker. They are taken to a mansion, supposedly to be adopted. And you played it, Avi. You've played some of it.
Yeah, I know, but I just didn't remember it fully, and I figured...
Well, main character which you play as leaves the room briefly. It comes back. Oh, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
That's
I know that. I know there's points there for that stuff.
Now, if you go into the series itself, they all have the one thing basically in common, which is normally female lead.
Okay.
And there is always a killer of some kind. There's always a blank man, so to speak. Like in the first one, it was the Scissor Man, which you encountered.
Fucking Scissor Man, dude. Dude, watch my videos. Just go back and watch them right now. See?
Oh, okay.
The most honest reaction to a pixel art Scissor Man you will ever see. Holy crap! That game's horrifying. Like it's so well done. I really.
Hell, go and watch it just for how his first episode ends.
Oh yeah, that I do like that.
You said it was pixelated. Is it like Lone Survivor in a sense then?
Well, it's on Super Nintendo is the first one, and it was only released in Japan in Japanese. But basically, like this was one of the games I wanted to play on my like fan translation Fridays live streams. So I'm going to be starting very soon.
I will say, if you're going to do that, you're probably going to want to walk through at some point.
I'm gonna have one on my phone. I remember what playing it blind was like.
Yeah.
Oh no, do it again.
It was
No.
I appreciated the whole thing. Like it was fun, and like solving the mysteries. I was totally like, aha! And I was having all those '90s kid moments where you don't know the answers.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'll need one to play through it properly and not waste everyone's time with me just being like, not knowing what to do.
The thing is, with a lot of the older horror games, and especially ones that were focused more on that kind of style, where it was the point-and-click type.
Yeah.
Basically, because that's how it plays, even on Super Nintendo. It's a point-and-click game.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you do have basic movement with the D-pad, I think, if I'm remembering right, but yeah, it is point-and-click.
Yeah, you can walk around, but then you can also select things, and then that's like way more accurate for like movement, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, with a lot of those games, unless you're going to be keeping like you should probably be keeping multiple save files, obviously, for the first thing, and secondly, a lot of what's going on is not going to be that intuitive.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's super like. Remember there's that section where you break through it's like the very first like puzzle you sort of solve where you like pick up a rock and there's like a crack in the wall and you're meant to use the rock to break the wall, but like it just looks like the background and all this stuff. Oh, bye, Scott. See you, Scott. And it just looks like the fucking background, and like it was so like not what I expected to be the answer, but then I just tried it because I was out of options.
That explains why you suddenly got louder.
Yeah, that got clean. Damn. Also, just to our one viewer, I do have comments open, and I'm trying to keep those up and going. So if you do end up typing anything for whatever reason, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to mention that. We won't necessarily say anything back, though. That's the other thing.
Well, we'll give Burley a moment to get back, but
yeah, let's just. That's why I said it. I was like, let's just hang out.
But I mean, the thing is, like I will say that over the years that got better. Obviously, puzzles became more intuitive, a little more like they were less.
Oh yeah, please.
Welcome back, Burley.
Hey.
Oh, sorry, Burley Boy stopped peddling for the electricity, so you know,
no
it's
problem.
bloody clones, I tell you.
You're coming in a lot better now, actually.
I am.
Sounds nice.
Yes.
I can feel why. I have audio options for you guys. I can literally mute you if I felt like it.
Please don't.
Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, with the evolution from the early like NES and Super Nintendo games, I do think that they did better in the job with like puzzles and such, mainly because they moved away. Like they didn't completely move away from a point and click style of use this on that. Well, but they made it more along the lines of like this young man specific. Oh, sorry. Just to complete my thought, they made it more along the lines of like the specific location contains the limited number of things you need to continue. Go ahead, Ami.
Would it be reasonable to assume then that Resident Evil is a direct continuation of that style, but removing the point and click and replacing it with more accurate controller mechanics? Because
that's what I mean.
Resident Evil exactly. So like Resident Evil has those more complicated puzzles. Like that's what you're talking about, basically. Silent Hill, Resident Evil, stuff like that.
Resident Evil is a little bit different. I mean, Resident Evil's puzzles tend to focus a bit more on like they're less about finding something, except for maybe a key sometimes. They're a little more about finding information and then using that information.
Arguably, wouldn't be information. Yeah, but wouldn't information be equal to a key item, such as a key that doesn't have any function other than to open the door? Wouldn't information be an intangible version of that?
Well, no, I do agree with you there.
Yeah, cool.
The only difference there would be, like, in some cases, like puzzles that are well done, for a knowledgeable person, they might be able to do it without even having to find the clue.
Did you guys watch the Resident Evil 3 speedrun this year at SGDQ?
No.
It was Nemesis percent, so they just had to kill Nemesis in every Nemesis fight in Resident Evil Nemesis. I'm gonna say that a lot. But basically they knew the run so well, and it was like, you know, it's speedrunning stuff, so obviously, but like they could just walk up to code doors and be like, it's one of these 3 codes, like it's random every time, and they'd just be like beep boop boop, okay, beep boop boop, and then they'd just be like through the door, and they'd just be going. Wouldn't even have to go find that stuff. It was great. It's a really fun playthrough to watch.
Oh wow,
that's actually an interesting thing you mentioned there, because that's something I have appreciated in 1 or 2 games where the code, like the code that you need, is randomly generated, like it is, or at least to a certain extent, it's
like there'll be a few different blocks that are randomly generated of the code, like 3 different sections, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like as an example, in the playthrough I did of Siren, in one section of that, I had to get a code for a shed to unlock combination lock, and what you had to do was you had to go into the building next to it. People are transforming before my eyes.
I just wanted to. Well, I figured we were putting our eyewear back on. Yeah. And then the mustache just came with it. You keep going.
You had to go into the building next to it and play a radio at a specific time, or play a tape at a specific time on the tape when they would say the code.
Yeah, right.
And okay, now there's going to be a little bit of rage moment in this. What happened was I got the code, opened it, died, and got sent back to obviously before that occurred. So I came up to it and just tried the same code, and I was like, wait, that didn't work? What? Oh, no, completely different numbers when I went in that time. It was like, oh, okay. I can appreciate that game.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know.
It's like, okay, I can appreciate that. You're not going to let people cheat this and just remember what it was.
That's awesome. I mean, like, yeah. So that's interesting. So moving into PS1, we really see that shift, and we really see that like a bit more refinement and stuff like that.
Coming out now they're really breaking boundaries. This is the start of it all, really.
It's interesting well. That's why it's so interesting to me, because we're at this point where like we have all these games, right, and the slew of games, like the period we just entered was like this like Outlast, Five Nights at Freddy's, Slender Man, like all of those indie developed, basically run and be scared games, right?
All these new ideas that just came out. It literally all came out.
It's mechanic driven, right? No. Like it's very mechanical in how it's made, because like it'll be like, oh, this is the horror game with a video camera or whatever. Going back to Outlast, I know I keep harping on it, but it's what I've recently seen.
No, that's fine.
I heard it's.
You know what I mean? And then so Resident Evil sort of added like a much more visceral threat than Clock Tower did, you could say, presumably.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure I'd go. I'm not sure I'd put it that way, but I mean, it is definitely a different threat. I'll say that, because like with Resident Evil. Well, the difference comes in the fact of whether or not you can fight back.
Well, no, because what you're talking about is a difference between like paranoid, very evolved fear in Clock Tower, because it's very much a fear of intangibility and like things coming out of nowhere and stuff like that. Whereas Resident Evil, you're dealing with that same sort of thing, but it's animalistic, like it's unevolved. It's very like brutal down to our core like survival mechanics of like. Someone hunting you or a monster coming like at you. Like,
Well, no, I mean, I understand what you mean there, and like I understand where you're coming from with that. Like, I can follow your logic there. Now, I will say personally, at least for me, I find Resident Evil and the such less scary than some other games. And now, at least again for me, it's just purely from the idea that you can shoot back, that you can fight it, and that kind of takes away a bit of the fear for me.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not taking away the fear. I'm arguing that it's different. I'm arguing that we have 2 different sort of responses, and one of them is primal fear, and one of them is like a contemporary sort of fear. So one's a lot more paranoid and a lot more superstitious and weird, whereas one is like
unknown and
exactly, fear of the unknown, the dark, and all that stuff. Whereas the other angle that you could take this is monsters and visceral threats, like actual very physical fight or flight response kind of moments. So like, and just this kind of like division there, because I really, it's the same thing. Like you watch a monster movie with like a killer shark, it's not as scary as a hectic ghost movie with murder ghosts like hanging people. You know, like just yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like terrifying.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, so do you differ between the physical like fear, like you just mentioned there with the physical fear, it's more of a fight or flight response. So do you differ between the games that allow you the fight response or the ones that simply don't allow you a fight response at all, and it's all just flight?
I would argue that anything that takes away your ability to fight is playing more to that paranoid fear and more to that like that very like human nature. Like no, I hope someone doesn't come out of that closet kind of thing.
No,
as soon as you were given a weapon, as soon as you're part of the world, I think you're back to fight or flight. I think you're back to predator and prey kind of thing. Because there's moments in Resident Evil where you get a big old shotgun and then you'll be walking around and you'll be like, I'm the best now. Like,
oh, zombies. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the best way to play. You might run out of ammo, but like you get these moments of like where you can reassert yourself in the world. You find the grenade launcher in the mansion, and you can really just be like, haha, you know?
Yeah. The Dead Space is a good example for that as well.
Yep, Dead Space is a really great example.
Terrifying. That's terrifying, but you have a gun. I need to finish that game. That was a really good
I know. I really need to.
I have finished that.
Play it properly. I played the first level, and then I was like, it wasn't my system, so I didn't get to finish.
Nah. Fair enough.
And that's yeah.
I mean, like in part of that, like for the flight half of it, that actually does bring back to Outlast specifically, because they don't allow you that, and a lot of that is just like I find a lot of the fear from Outlast comes from, well, okay. One, it does come from not being able to fight, because you know you just have these guys beating the crap out of you, or one or two that will just almost instantly kill you. They'll give you like one chance to run and then you'll die.
Exactly.
But I mean, a large part of it is also, at least with Outlast, is also just a gross out factor.
Well, yeah, that's really, and that's why I would argue that is the more paranoid side of it, because you're being like mentally victimized, right? You're not being physically challenged. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, exactly. You're being punished in a visual sense and in a very like mental sort of like this place sucks kind of way. But there's like but as opposed to I guess Resident Evil, where you have that freedom, you have that agency, and you're not completely helpless. Like you're not being tortured in a way. It's just happening.
Yeah. I mean,
it's all of
I would argue Silent Hill is more like Resident Evil than it is like Outlast too. Even though it's about ghosts.
Silent Hill finds a bit of a weird kind of middle ground, because like they give you the option to fight back, but
it sucks.
Unless you, that's the one thing. Unless you have to, you probably shouldn't be fighting back in Silent Hill.
Have you ever seen someone? Sorry.
What?
I was just gonna say, have you ever seen someone play an all-kill run of Silent Hill?
No.
You just like I think it's like Silent Hill 2 or something, and they crash the car on the hill road. It might be Silent Hill 1, but you just pick up he like picks up this like wooden plank, and then one of those weird gross leg monsters comes out, and he just beats it to death, and it takes like 20 minutes, but it's hilarious. He's just duking it and knocking it back down, just fucking it up.
Nice.
Oh my god, I have to go find those videos again. It's amazing.
I like the idea that in that scenario, you actually have the option to murder its face, even though it's probably preferable that you leg it. But
that's it. And I think that's why I think Silent Hill is one of the most impressive ones, because they really knuckle down on storytelling. They really knuckle down on like creating that atmosphere and creating the world. And like if you watch any terrible horror let's play, like not you Desiree, but like if you watch some of those people, they like all they'll talk about is atmosphere with no justification, no nothing. It's just like, oh man, this room's dark, and it's like, yeah dude, do you know what games are like? If you get that, and then the combat, like just being able to give the player that agency, and like especially I want to say Shattered Memories had the split storyline thing. where you could be a sleazy dad or a cool dad? The remake of number 1?
I think so.
Maybe number 1 had it too, actually. It's a hard one.
I don't
couldn't
know.
tell you.
Yeah,
someone will tell us. Someone will yell at us, probably. Tweet at Geekard with all of your abuse.
And of course, with Silent Hill, with Silent Hill, the series in general, there was the recent sadness.
Well, okay, that's an interesting point. So, like, moving through the years, we've gone through the PlayStation 1, we've gone through, like, PlayStation 2 had pretty much, like, the next generation of PlayStation 1 horror and, like, stuff like that. Nintendo pretty much abstained, Xbox floundered around trying to find its feet, and then Halo gave it legs.
Nintendo put out a few here and there, but very limited.
Okay, yeah, to be fair, I don't want to offend anyone. Beyond Good and Evil is an amazing game. It's often credited as one of the very influential horror games to come out.
Wait,
you know?
What?
Beyond Good and Evil, right?
Beyond Good and Evil is viewed as a horror game? What?
Wait, what am I thinking of? The one
Beyond
with
Good and Evil, the one with the reporter and the pig.
The insanity mechanic.
You're thinking of
What is that one?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a GameCube game.
Eternal Darkness.
Yes.
Sanity's Requiem.
That's,
I'm sorry.
That one is good.
That's okay. I was like, Beyond Good and Evil is the one with the female reporter and the Uncle Page, the pig.
Oh yeah.
It's an action game. It's not a horror game.
Shame stash. That's our Ravi. Fucking sitcom. This is the horror movie.
Yeah, this right here, yeah.
So yeah, we moved up, went through all that, and we've arrived at sort of like modern horror, and I totally forgot why I was pitching that as an idea.
PT.
PT, yeah, okay, yeah. So,
which was
a
very interesting experience.
So you've played it, right, Desron?
Oh yes, I've done.
I've watched it like 6 times because like holy crap, like that. It was one of the best. Actually, Binding of Isaac was the other one I liked watching, but that's totally not hit on that. So yeah, PT was like that was crazy promising, right? Like I wasn't the only guy that was sitting there being like, this is awesome. Like this is like the best thing I've ever seen in my life, and the hype and like the people attached to it and the mystery, like it was perfect.
I'm not afraid to say biggest letdown ever.
Ever. Just full stop. Ever. It's fucking sound effects guy.
That will never be uninstalled from my PS4. It will stay there forever.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, dude.
I mean, I'm not one for horror games, but that's one that I want to try. Just so I can try and understand the weird fetus thing in the sink. That's the bit that got me. When I saw that on the tube, I was like, what?
But I mean, that's
wonderful.
The thing is, like, not only was it in and of itself an awesomely created teaser, like an awesomely created demo, I guess you could call it.
That was a game by itself.
Well, yes,
Steam for $20.
That's the thing. Like, not only was that awesomely created, but the trailer for finishing it as well, the Silent Hills trailer that it ended with, I mean, that showed promise to have Silent Hill get a little back to its roots. With a lot of the later titles, they seemed a little less like they were just pulling a bit away from the core views of the series. And
for sure, they were trying to be like
cheaply done, maybe.
Right? They were like way more like.
They were doing some weird things with it. I mean, I'll blatantly say this: like, when it comes to a few people know my opinions when it comes to certain games. When it comes to a series of games in horror, like the two primary ones for me,
right?
Silent Hill would be one.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the other is Fatal Frame.
Yes, I wanted to get into Fatal Frame too. Okay, so now this is what I wanted to. Oh, okay, sorry.
No, I was gonna say.
I had a segue.
Here's my differentiation, though. Silent Hill, I view as, like, it does take a lot from Resident Evil. Like, you can see where it came from in that sense, just in the sense that you can kind of fight back a bit, that kind of mechanic, and just this basic very basic. You're beating things and shooting things when you can, but Silent Hill maintains an exceptionally disturbing atmosphere and a visual style. It maintains itself that way, and that's why I view that series to be basically one of the most disturbing ones that has been made. Whereas
Pyramid Head.
Exactly. Whereas Fatal Frame, on the other hand,
they nailed him in the movie. By the way, the movie was great.
I enjoyed the movies.
I loved it. I watched it. I played it because it came out when I was in year 9. I was about 15, and I was doing film and video in school. Sorry, I just have to. I was doing film and video in school, and like we were doing horror movies. And our teacher was like, "Oh, just get one of these new horror movies to show the kids, and we'll talk about horror movies and like discuss it and shit." And she brings in Silent Hill. And me and my friend had downloaded it because like we were a little like arg, etc. But like we had, like it filmed out of like an American cinema because like nothing was releasing in Australia in mid 2000s, you know, like especially not that that wasn't going to come to any cinemas or anything like that. So we weren't even going to get the chance to like sneak in as rascally little teenagers or whatever the fuck. But like so. We watched it. We saw it. We knew it. We knew what it was about. We saw all the skin rippings and the barbed wire sexual assaults and the everything else that happens. And then she walks in with this DVD case, and it was the most beautiful moment for me and my friend that we have ever had. Just this realization of like everyone in this room is about to get fucked up. Like.
I did really enjoy that film.
We spent 2 lessons watching it because it's so long. It went past 1 lesson. It was beautiful. She was like, look, we started it, so I guess we'll just have to finish it. And me and my mate were just sitting there, we're like, excuse me, like you're putting it back on? Like.
Let's just get a round of applause for that teacher.
And to be fair, it is a great horror movie. It's really good.
I can't watch it because of how horrid it is.
It's gory. It's
I do honestly feel they captured a lot of what the essence of what Silent Hill is in that.
Yeah, right.
Now,
like the
didn't to the story word for word, but I mean, yeah, they did a good job.
Well, that's what I liked about it was that it was actually like it was for people that knew the story, right? Or to get people in because it did a good job of like, oh, what's this about? I'll go look at the games. Or if you've played the games, you're like, oh my god, it's Pyramid Head! Oh, let's look at this! Oh, let's look at that! Like,
Pyramid Head. Oh, what a nutter.
He takes that girl's skin off in 1 move! One move!
That was an interesting choice to use him, but, I mean, well played. He does not appear in the original game that story is of.
I know.
Yes, it's an interesting choice.
Well, that was my point as well. Like, I felt like the movie was sort of the first draft of what Silent Hills was going to be, because like the movie really felt like they were collaborating a lot of all the different worlds of Silent Hill. Because I'm pretty sure the characters weren't right either, right? Like the characters were. Different from the first game. They were like characters.
No. The characters actually did match the first game in that film.
Okay, cool.
The main differences was for one thing, Pyramid Head's not in the first game, but the main differences were along the lines of mother replaced father.
That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, but the characters were still there. Like the cop matched. The female cop matched, a lot of the other characters matched up properly. Yep. It was just minor changes to the story. And
yeah, sure.
I mean, I always made the argument it was possibly not to offend certain religious groups, but, you know.
Right? Holy crap.
Now, on the other hand, like I said...
an R-18 sexual abuse movie. Like, you don't want to go too far, guys.
Now, I mean, like I said, on the other hand, like I said, with Silent Hill, I view that as an incredibly well-done horror series in the sense of just maintaining that disturbing theme and managing to keep it and work with it and use it. Whereas with Fatal Frame, I view that as more of just straight-out scarier in my case. Like, I find that to be...
haunted scenario sort of thing. It's
very mental. It's very, cerebral.
It's the kind of situation where, it's an odd take, because it's the kind of situation where you normally wouldn't be able to fight back, but they give you something. They give you one thing that you can use, but to use it to the best of your abilities, you have to let them get right up in your face to do it.
Which I think is clever. Like, I love that opposite, just that contest of ideas, like different kind of mechanics working against each other. I wish that Murdered Soul Suspect had been doing more things like that. Just saying.
Yeah.
Murdered Soul Suspect.
My point.
Not bad. Not a horror game. I wouldn't. Well,
not a horror.
Maybe a little tiny.
You're a ghost. You're a spooky ghost, all right? It's pretty spooky.
Let me put it this way to you: the scariest thing about Murdered Soul Suspect were the stories you could find.
Yeah, which I think is
those.
I kind of like that as well, because that made that world feel more alive, right? Like the fact that you would find the darkness beneath it, but at the same time you were just doing your thing, like you were just playing through this story more than anything.
Yeah.
With Tim Burton's Wet Dreams all over it.
Totally.
It was just so blue. There's that. I had another thing. We better wrap up soon anyway.
Well, I was just going to say, going down a different angle, we've been talking a lot about single-player experiences. What about the multiplayer horror games that have been out?
There's a lot. I played Left 4 Dead competitive. If you play any competitive multiplayer horror stuff, I will tell you right now, it takes the scares out of it.
I don't know. Damned did all right in a weird.
Oh yeah,
way.
Damned's pretty clever. But that's like a new era of sort of like asymmetrical multiplayer. That fits into this whole other thing of like Evolve and all those kind of games. So arguably, Evolve is a horror game on that level. I'd say.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's another recent.
We'll wrap up really soon, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That was just okay.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. You got me.
Yeah, but basically, that's a really interesting point, and also giving the ability to torture your friends. To your friend, like that, just giving that gift is great. I think Depth is another really good example of like so tense asymmetrical.
Awful. Yeah,
asymmetrical multiplayer is beautiful. I think it's one of the best innovations we've gotten so far is this 4-on-1 kind of gameplay. It's such a good idea.
There's the new one now. I haven't tried it yet. I have it, and I'd like to try it with a few friends of mine.
Oh, Dead Realm?
Dead Realm, yep.
Oh, Dead Realm, yeah.
That looks like a better version of Damned. Want to say? Question mark?
From what I've seen, it seems like a more fast-paced Damned. Because Damned is meant to go at a very slow and atmospheric pace.
It's built in Source too, right? Like as opposed to Dead Realm, which is built in Unreal. I want to say.
Dead Realm seems to be a lot more fast-paced, more like I'm gonna get you, it's running you down. You know.
I'm a little baby. Yeah.
It's freaky from what I've seen.
It looks terrifying. I hate it.
The baby with the weird little hands.
The thumbnail with that baby, that gross kind of man baby face.
Man baby.
Man baby. The only baby to grow a full beard. Whoa. Yep, that's our signal. That's our thing. I think we're out of time, and while we're getting used to this format and stuff, I appreciate anyone that kind of like can stick with us and work it out. Yeah, feel free to drop feedback in. I'm trying to really get my head around being live, so I have to like really rein people in because I can't edit things. So that's just me learning too. But no, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, and exactly. Bellyman on the sounds. He's been great this week. Round of applause for Bellyman. That was a cube.
Hang on. I have to scroll.
There's like 70 sounds on this board, man. Well, none of them have titles.
Maybe only 12, but never mind.
Thank you to everyone that joined us live this week. Whoever that may have ended up being.
We love you guys.
Love you so much, and like that was really the main draw of being able to do this live. So thank you so much for being here.
If you want us to return to this topic ever, let us know.
Wow. Desperate.
It's my jam. What can I say?
I know. I think we sort of look. I think we sort of got through early horror games and some of that evolution, getting up to PT and sort of like including that. I think we did a good job. You have to go. We have to do stuff. We can't talk about horror games all day, does it? I know you want to.
Yeah, I know.
Sad face.
Join us for Guardcast 16 when we will be talking about the modern horror games and multiplayer.
16.
Ooh.
Someone tweeted me when I do 15.
Okay.
And it's going to take someone remembering from when we did 8 to tell me at 15.
No.
So that the next one.
Yeah.
No, join us in October for like the Halloween Guardcast, like that.
That's
kind
probably
Ooh, there we
that's
go.
what I was aiming for. Actually, you got me.
Yeah.
I was trying to like time it out. Anyway, thanks so much. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Cutter DJ, for that lovely comment. I got you, buddy.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, I was keeping on it. I was like text responding if anyone was going to type in
DJ's
stuff.
keeping an eye on me.
Oh right, you're going to play with DJ?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I can feel him giving me the stink eye through
Alright.
the video. It's
He's
like
like tapping his watch.
Literally.
Come on,
My
Pedro,
tapping his watch analogy is taking up more time because we can just sit here and tap watches forever and ever
No.
and
I
ever
don't do this to me, guys.
and
You're gonna get mad.
Somebody should cash out.
What is this? One of my live streams with the twins?
Alright. Have a really good day. Have fun, Desiree, and have a good day, night, whatever you may be invested in. And we'll see you next week for a discussion about shit.
Something. Bye!